Hello, all. Welcome back to Brown and Browner. The second week of the Olympics is upon us, and we're here to talk about it and any other things that are coming on in sports these days.
Well, aren't the Olympics coming to a close tomorrow?
They are,
So
and
it'll be interesting. And sometimes the best part of the Olympics is the opening ceremony and the closing ceremony.
that is true. In this case, it's been, I think, underwhelming for the U.S., I would say, because there have been failures, notable failures, people that had very high expectations walking in and didn't execute. It's kind of akin to what we were talking about last week on here, where some of the bars either set too high or the training rigors are not put well enough in U.S. development across many sports, and it causes us to fail on the biggest stage, unfortunately.
Well, I think kudos to the Norwegians and all of the other teams that are, accomplishing the medals. The Asians, the different China, Japan, give you guys credit from all of the skiing events, the snowboarding events. I do think that we overhype things. This is America.
Yeah.
Don't catch you slipping up. Is that what Charles Gambino said?
Exactly.
I think, one of the things that I was talking to my wife about, and, I was saying the similar thing that we came up short on this Olympics. And she said, well, I don't think that's true. We were successful here. We were successful there. I don't think that we weren't as successful as people would like, but we're not dominant in these things anymore. And if it goes back to what we talked about, that we don't put the effort, the time, and the infrastructure to build these things.
Yep. I mean, case in point, I hate to put it on it, but look at men's figure skating.
Wow.
This thing,
Brian Boitano, where are you?
You already put the kid on the Wheaties box before he earned it. Like, that was how bad it was. And
you saw the result.
Yep, exactly. And I think they interviewed him yesterday, the day before, after the aftermath and everything, and then he was just like, yeah, Olympic ice is different. I'm like, well, then you weren't ready for it. Like, it's as simple as that. And maybe you were set up to fail in that respect, unfortunately, because frankly, the greatest athletes in their field, regardless of where they are, they own their game, they own their craft, right? And you're not overtaken by the moment. That's part of sports.
Well, that's the difference in greatness.
We do so much, quote unquote, I hate to say, coddling of the sports, the sports psychology stuff, that frankly we don't build tough enough athletes that they're overcoming those hurdles when they reach them at those stages where they're fighting against the best of the best. Because that's what it takes. That's what I mean. I put it always akin to tennis because I'm familiar with it. You are only the best of the best when you can beat the best in the biggest situations, because you overcome the hurdles that are in that situation, and you train for those. You train to own your craft and overcome those things. Are we being too soft during training? Probably in this country across many sports, in my opinion.
Or are we doing what we do with the participation awards? You are the best in the
exactly
world.
That's exactly what it is.
In the world.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
And that's the problem. Yep. And I do think, speaking of Ilya directly, he said something right after he screwed up his performance. He said, that's why I should have been in Beijing, or something like along those lines. And that is actually true. He was a kid then. He's a kid now still.
Yeah.
But he was a good enough skater to be on that team, but they didn't take him. And he would have gotten that experience then and been better for it now.
Yep.
Now, whether that's right or wrong, who knows, whatever. But that is a good point to make.
You don't get instantaneous success. That's the other problem with culture today, is everybody expects instantaneous success and not build up. Michael Jordan didn't win his first championship the first time around.
No, he went through years of trials and tribulations and playing ball with cocaine addicts.
Yeah, Michael Phelps didn't win his gold the first race he ran. People develop into the greatest after building that time. And you do it at youth, you have stages. So you need experience to do it. You can't just do it in the first instance. There's very rare. The 0.01% of people can do it on their first run. I mean, Tiger Woods, whole different anomaly. Has anybody else done that? No. That's how it works. So yes, I think there's definitely credibility in that statement, 100%.
Well, and I think also greatness. I mean, there are a lot of people that are good. There are some people who probably could have been great. They either didn't put it all in, or they didn't have the wherewithal mentally to do it at the right times, to be there at that moment and be at your best and be able to perform at the highest level that you can at that moment. So there are many people that are good, but these are supposed to be the best of the best.
Yep.
He will come back, and I think he'll bounce back and do well. But I think, again, for all of those people who are out there promoting, a particular athlete, particular sport, just remember these guys are between 15 and 18 years old. They haven't experienced anything yet in life from a conflict standpoint to really know how to deal with pressure in the way you're putting the pressure on them. Not them. They've already have their own pressure in their head about trying to be good and, doing what they need to do. But to put them in there, he cannot lose. Well, now you're telling him he cannot lose, and he might have walked around with a false bravado that caused him not to be focused enough to be the winner. And look at what happened. And I give him credit for this too. And I don't know, do we really need access the way that TV is giving access today? Do we need to hear the coach on the sideline as the game is going on talking about his team, or the player on the sideline as they're talking about the team? Do we really need to take a person at their worst moment in their life and stick a mic in front of their face and go, well, how do you feel? Do we really need that?
Exactly. That's very true. I mean, think about back in the day. Let's think back to the 80s and 90s after, let's say, you lost a Super Bowl or you lost the NBA championship or whatever it was, or lost baseball. The media wasn't in the loser's locker room immediately putting a mic in their face.
Hello?
There was time given.
Yeah. Give me a moment to absorb the moment and be able to catch my emotion. Because honestly, if I was him, I would have grabbed her by her face and said, get out of my face.
Yeah.
Because I'm at my worst right now and I'm so mad and upset. And here you are, you want me to gather my composure. I'm some teenage kid. You want me 20 years old, whatever. Gather my composure in a moment's notice after the worst moment in my life and be able to give you some meaningful insight into how I feel. Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, look what happened to the gal. Forget the female figure skater that was favored. That fell basically, right?
Yeah.
Same problem.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for her too.
I felt bad for her. Yeah. But at the same time, again, you have this whole thing where you built up an aura in the media for these folks to be the contenders and everything else. And you got one still in contention. We'll find out tonight. Maybe two. Depends on the performance of the second one. But the third one that fell, she's probably out of it.
She lost 7 points on just the one discipline.
Yep.
And that was all that it took, because you cannot recover from 7 points in the second part of the competition. And you know what? Her story actually, I think, is a story of many, especially in the ice skating world, where I think it's the parents and the coaches that put so much pressure on these kids. And when I say kids, we're talking from 5 years on. 5-year-old on her story that aired, before her performance. And it was such a touching story because she literally had to quit the sport because she had no joy, because she was being forced to do all of these things instead of it being fun for her. It was a dream that the parents had in place and it had nothing to do with how she felt about herself and doing these things. And she got out of the sport, and then she did something fun with some friends and said, oh, you can actually do something and it's fun. Because she's so used to, and this is a kid now, so used to having this mindset that it's work.
I will say that
at 4 in the morning because I got to go to work before school.
At least she did the right kind of fun away from the sport, unlike like Jennifer Capriati, for instance.
Jennifer Capriati, great tennis player. Yeah, she had a different kind of experience outside the sport.
Came back and won. That's how you got to give it credit. But to that point, sometimes there's an undue pressure. Look, if you ever read the Andre Agassi biography, great book, by the way.
I have not.
That dude was put under some crazy pressure. Did you know he had to wear a wig? He was a propped up figure for much of his young life before he was 18, 20, basically. And the pressure was ridiculous. The fact that the guy overcame it is amazing in that regard. It was quite the opposite of like a Pete Sampras or all the other guys that grew up during that era. This guy was like built as a media phenomenon. And he had to do so much pressure off the court, yet he still survived, which was impressive to see.
See, and this is where there's a fine line. And I know we talk about how, what's the right phrasing? Unprepared some of these younger kids are for particular moments. They don't have the experience of failure. They don't have the backbone that we had as kids. We say that. But think about it. Some of the stuff that was happening back in the day, you had people, we all grew a backbone because of it, but was it right? Some of that stuff might not have been right. Agassi had to have gone through that. And the fact that he did go through that and he accomplished that, You put the same kids today in that same situation, they don't have a chance.
No.
So, and the world isn't changing. The world isn't nice. The world's going to be like this because they don't care about you, the individual. They care about you, the performer.
Yes.
And that's the difference.
Yep.
You could be dead inside.
Yep.
And they don't care as long as you're out there performing for them so they can make money and put you on the Wheaties box and get you on the screen. Yep. And what is that doing for the individual? No. I don't know. No. That's why you have the breakdowns. I don't give Naomi Osaka. I'm sorry. That's a different story for me.
Yeah.
People who can't handle success should not try. Like if you can't stand the heat of the sun, stop trying to get so close to it.
So close to it. Yeah.
Then do something else. So if you are, because the reason you're rich and famous is because you have to answer questions, you have to do these things. And I don't mean the questions like what they did to Ilya right after. I'm just saying in general. If you can't handle that, then stop doing it. Don't try to do it and then say, well, I really can't handle it. And you guys need to be nicer to me and everything. You know what? Stop that. I'm sorry, that's wrong.
100% agree. 100% agree. And that's a perfect example. You get Naomi Osaka on the other end of the spectrum. And I'm sorry, but you're physically gifted, obviously, to have won. You honestly don't have the mental fortitude, in my opinion, I'll call it out, to be that next phenomenon in that sport at the end, because you don't have the wherewithal to be the best of the best. You're good, but you're never going to
beat Serena, but you'll never beat Serena.
Well, on the tail end of her career. You tell me peak for peak? Hell no.
No, not even close.
Not even close. But no, that's the whole point. So, I mean, like, look at basketball, and I tried to transition this now because we had the All-Star weekend last weekend, and
do this All-Star.
There's some thoughts to that. I mean, I didn't watch the game for a couple of reasons. One, I just didn't have the time to, because I'd always felt like the All-Star game has just been boring. But apparently there was some nuances made it better for some folks. But then the night before, on Saturday, I tuned in for one of my events that I like to watch, which is the dunk contest, the three-point contest. And it was the most abysmal thing I've ever seen in my life. I could have gone to a high school event and seen better performances.
I agree.
That caliber of what we expect for people to do outrageous dunks, outrageous three-point shooting, and would have been more satisfied than having to have suffered and watched professionals attempt to do what they did.
Here's what I think with the dunk contest. I mean, we've talked about this on the side, that the premier dunkers don't ever even do this anymore. Whereas before, the premier dunkers were the ones who were doing this. The Dr. J's, Dominique Wilkins, Michael Jordan, Vince Carter. They all did the dunk contest because they felt an obligation to do that.
Yep.
None of these players any longer feel that, so you don't have any of these guys doing it. And I get it, LeBron. I don't want you to try to dunk and then lose, and then you're 40 years old. And they say that.
What we just said. I don't think they have the guts to do it because they feel like they might get embarrassed.
They might fail. If they don't win, there's a failure. Here's the thing that I think should have happened this year. Ja Morant.
Yes.
Ja Morant is one of the best dunkers in the league and has been since he's been in the league.
100%.
This guy is having some serious issues. Talk about mental issues. Here's a guy who's given millions of dollars. He's acted a fool, brandishing guns in the bars and such. Even after they told him not to do it, he did it again. Yep. He's broken up the Memphis Grizzlies. They were on an ascension. They were rising. Now they've broken him up. They should have forced him to be in the dunk contest and say, if you want to stay in the NBA, you need to go to the dunk contest to help promote the NBA and to help restore your beautiful image, because you have been your worst enemy and an enemy to your team as well as the NBA.
If the NBA is truly going to become a show, then make them do that to fix your image, fix the show, help the player, everything. Absolutely. 100% agree. Yep.
Make these guys do it. Yep. I'm not saying you have to take the best of the best and whatever, but a guy like Ja Morant, he should be indebted to the NBA for even allow him to stay in there after what he's done.
Yep.
So you owe us, get to the NBA, get to the All-Star game to be the dunk contest. Yep. There are probably 4 or 5 other guys they could do that with too.
Easily.
And then they would actually have a dunk contest.
Yep. And more important than the dunk contest, the fact of the matter is what you just said. Some of the guys that you want to see dunk, the premier players in the league or whatever it is. So you got the LeBrons, you got whoever else you want to throw in there, right? Hell, even a Jokic, whatever you want. But at the end of the day, they're so tied up in marketing and all this other crap that they're afraid of slipping. And they're afraid of slipping against their peers, which is what really pisses me off, because that's the difference between the 80s, 90s, and now. 80s, 90s, you wanted to compete against the best. Jordan wanted to beat Dumars. Jordan wanted to beat Magic. Jordan wanted to beat Larry Bird. All those guys wanted to beat Jordan. Same thing. Everybody wanted to be better than everyone. Dominique wanted to out-duel Jordan. Same thing. Everybody. Now, no.
Well, and the thing that I thought was really interesting back then versus now is, let's take the dunk contest out of it. Let's just talk about the actual All-Star game. The All-Star game, they were competitive. There weren't 170 points being scored. Kobe would challenge LeBron during one All-Star game, and LeBron deferred. That's the difference between the old and the new. It's like, hey, we're the best of the best. Come on now, take me. And I'm going to pass the ball.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have you embarrass me by D'ing me up like you have all game long, and I'm not doing anything or scoring any points.
Yep, no,
that's the difference.
Absolutely true, and that's what's sad. Like I said, it's gotten to the point where you should not have an All-Star game, or just do something completely different, or whatever it is for basketball. Football doesn't even need a Pro Bowl, honestly.
Oh, they need to stop that. They need to stop all their All-Star. Baseball's probably the only one that still matters.
The only one.
The rest of them, get rid of them.
Yeah, baseball, the only one, because, and again, they brought relevance back to it, luckily, because they said, hey, winner of this gets home field for the World Series, which makes sense.
Which
it sucks.
I'm not, what? I work all year long. I have the best record in the league. I go to the World Series, and because, players from other teams decided my fate in being the home team, that part is bullshit.
That part, I mean, I get it, I 100% agree with that. It sucks but it puts value on the game, is what I'm saying. So they have to do something. Right.
They feel like they're playing for something.
Yeah, baseball is also cool because the home run derby still has relevance.
Yeah, and people still like to watch it.
Yeah, and still like to watch it. So I mean,
they don't have the biggest names. The biggest names aren't always in there, but they do have some of the young talent. And you have the guy from Seattle who was in it last year, and a few others. So I agree with that. But you said it right. The NBA and the NFL. First off, the NFL, get rid of the all pro game, whatever that is, and all of the festivities, and move the Super Bowl up a week so that it'll be still relevant instead of 2 weeks of blah 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 blah. Where the last week I totally didn't want to watch Get Up, any of those other things, because it was just saying the same shit over and over and over and over and over.
I think most of America tuned out literally for a span of 12 days between the end of the NFC and AFC Championship game all the way to the Super Bowl this year, because nobody gave a damn, because they already knew what the game was coming in.
There was nothing interesting that you were going to provide insight into.
Yeah, play it the next week and you still get hype. I mean, it doesn't.
And that's it. Play it like it's every other week, like a football game. But now you did that in the playoffs. Why are you all of a sudden the Super Bowl needs 2 weeks? You don't need 2 weeks to set up your equipment. You don't need 2 weeks to hype it up. You don't need 2 weeks for any aspect of it. And it becomes boring. And I think it's dulling the product, because quite frankly, by the time the Super Bowl came, I was so sick of hearing about it.
Exactly.
That I didn't, Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime performance. I didn't really care as much for the game, especially since I didn't have a horse in it.
Right. No, you're absolutely right.
And then with basketball should do the same thing. Either they do, or we were just talking about, but it's the US against the world, but then they play a round robin. So now they have 3 games, and the game that decided who would get the All-Star MVP and who was the ultimate winner didn't even include the world players.
The world players, yeah. Yep.
So did that make sense?
No, like I said, they have epically failed in trying to create value in that event at this point. And I think a lot of it does have to do with timing. Like baseball is perfect because you've got this long season, and in the middle you get this break, right? And that's why the All-Star game works for baseball. Basketball, you try that in the middle of February, people are still kind of coming off Super Bowl, whatever. And honestly, you know what they need to do for basketball? The concept was somewhat okay, the whole world versus USA. I say you do a 3 versus 3 tournament style, like they do for the TBT during the summer, or what Ice Cube does during the summer.
Go ahead, Ice Cube.
Have friends paired off with each other, and the league can do it, or you can have each of the players figure it out. But 3-on-3 tournament in a bracket format, maybe 16 teams, 8 teams over the course of 2 days. It'd be fun to watch, I think. It'd be like hockey, where hockey does world versus USA, right? Or world versus whatever, right?
Yeah.
So a smaller format of that with 3-on-3 ball, I think would be kind of cool to watch. Because then you get to see teams play for incentives, and then you set a money value, right? You do it just like the TBT does during the summer, or the 3-on-3 or big three or whatever it is, $1 million for the team that wins.
I mean, that could work. I don't know. I'm sure we could probably shoot holes in that too if we're
And,
just like anything else.
I'll throw an X value in there. Have a public tournament that takes place in the summer before or even the fall. Best team that comes out of the entire country also gets to participate.
Now, I sort of like that because now you're bringing in people who aren't
an underdog,
giving them a chance that they could play against the professionals.
Yep.
Sort of like the college kids who used to play against the Olympic team before they went.
Exactly.
You know what I would like to see? Here's what I'd like. It wouldn't work, especially for insurance reasons, but I'd like to see an old timers all-star game. Bring back the Jordans. Bring back, unfortunately, Kobe has passed away. Bring back Magic and Bird and all the best shit talkers and have them on the court talking shit while they fucking play and mic them up. I would rather see that than what I'm seeing today.
Give me Isaiah Thomas, Michael Jordan, and John Starks.
I'd love that. I would love that. Hey, give Patrick Ewing a chance. Maybe Patrick Ewing can finally win something. Sorry, Patrick. I liked you, but you just grew up in the wrong era.
But how cool. Yeah, I like the concept too. But like I said, if we're able to simplistically think about this in a matter of 5 minutes, why can't the NBA? That's the whole point here,
Well, they went down the wrong path, making it a pickup game and doing all of that. They took everything out of it. Not allowing players to wear their own jerseys, right. I think you gotta, I don't know. It's just the way they think today. I think we're just from old school. We think simplistically, and those things actually work.
Yep.
They actually work.
They do.
Absolutely
true.
They still have some value. I get, people who like seeing the stars because America's built on the whole idea of, you see somebody on TV or in a movie and you feel like you know them, right? So they got the stars playing the game. That's cool. I sort of like that. They have their little all-star game. I still like the rookies versus, I like that because those are the new stars. You want to be able to see them play. They're not quite all-star worthy yet, but they will be in the next year or two. So those two things, I think they can continue. It's just the premier parts of the All-Star game, the game itself, and the dunk contest need to be revamped.
Yep. No, I don't disagree. Sorry, on a side note, I was trying to figure out, you said the Olympics were coming to an end tomorrow, basically. I haven't gotten to watch the Jamaican bobsled team yet. See, we were talking about underdogs here, the whole All-Star thing, and I'm like, give me that underdog to watch on sports.
Well, I'm hopeful that, let's see.
Bobsled schedule. I'm looking it up right now because I haven't seen them on TV yet, and I'm like, where am I going to get to see these guys? Okay, so
I'm sorry, it's Sunday. It's not Friday. It's Sunday.
Yeah. So the end is Sunday, and they've actually got the bobsled. It looks like it starts starts today. 4-man training starts today, and then the actual heats start Saturday morning. Yeah, the heat starts Saturday morning and they end on Sunday. That'll be cool.
I would like to see anyone who looks closer to me win anything in a winter type event. Yeah. Unfortunately, even the Canadian that looks like me, he went 0 for 3 in the finals.
Yeah.
The speed skating finals. Yep. The girl from America who supposedly had a chance. No.
Again, set up for failure. Yeah, like I said, again, I get we are America. I get that we're supposed to be supposedly the best coming into any sports or competition, but at the end of the day, it ain't the case anymore. The world has caught up and got exceeded beyond repair.
Yeah, especially in these events, and I think we talked about it, and they said it again last night during the speed skating. The people who are getting into the speed skating from the Netherlands and from Sweden and from all these other countries are the best athletes from their area.
Yes.
So we're sending not our best
True.
to play against the best.
Yep. It's very true.
It's sort of like why they changed basketball. Instead of us putting the college players out there, we started putting the pros out there again.
Yep.
Hockey too.
That's true.
So I think that, but we don't have that ability because we're always going to have the dilution of athletes and abilities because of the sports that we have that are much more fashionable here in America and popular, that are going to get the majority of our best athletes.
That is true. It's very true. But no, like I said, well, I'm gonna make a bold statement. I want to say for the 20th Olympics, despite the fact that we're hosting it, we're gonna have a lot of hype on it and everything else.
Ultra hype.
I bet you that we don't do as well in a lot of events that we would expect to. I think we'll still be okay in track and field, obviously.
We do better when it's warmer. We just do. Because that means people who look like me, and I'm sorry for all of the things that may have been said. Jimmy the Greek, you should have never been fired, because some of the stuff that you said was actually true about what they did with slaves and stuff.
Yep.
But people who look like me help America win a lot more medals than people who don't look like me.
I mean, just look at the Summer Hall. The Summer Hall comes from the darker tone people. Let's face facts.
So, and actually, there is something to being the host nation. Look at what Italy's doing this winter.
Oh, yeah.
And look at what happened before in any of the other Olympics. It just seems like somehow the host ends up being a little better. Matter of fact, that even works in soccer during the World Cup as well.
Started seeing some of the prep work going on, not just for the World Cup here, that's obviously this summer, but also even for Qatar coming up. Seems they're getting their heat domes up and everything else, using their labor and everything else. A lot of controversy there. We're gonna be interesting to see how we do here, and being the host nation. I think we are also set up for failure this summer in summer soccer.
Well, we all know, if you look at certain sports, team sports that we have in America, hockey, the best hockey team in America is the women's hockey team, not the men's.
Well, it's funny you say that. So so I think is it today? Maybe is the
I think it's like Canada today for the gold.
So isn't it true that we've beaten them in the rounds, but we hardly ever beat them in the championships? Is that right?
And I think we've only beaten them once. I think the time we just beat them, and we beat them solidly, like 5-0 or whatever.
They're spraying a can of whoop ass right now in this tournament.
Yeah. So if we can actually overcome that hurdle and beat them, but they have a much better chance than American men. Heck, we barely beat Sweden yesterday.
Canada barely survived though against
Canada should have lost that game. Canada should have lost that game. That, and I'm sure it was that Czech. They're probably sitting there going, "Oh my God, we should have beaten them." But America, at the very end they scored to send it to overtime.
It would be kind of cool to see if the U.S. can get to the final and play Canada in the men's.
I would love to see that.
That'd be a great game to watch. Yeah,
it would be a great game to watch. It would be great to see the women and the men do it. But again, back to my point, the women's team is much more dominant and much more way more successful than the men's team, and that goes to soccer even more so in soccer. 100%. When was the last time the men's soccer team was even really relevant?
The biggest star in soccer in this country right now is not a male. It's Trinity Rodman. Let's face facts.
Which I thought was pretty cool that it's Dennis Rodman's daughter.
Yeah, well, and animosity there too, obviously, and I get it. Unfortunate circumstance, but I mean, it's Trinity Rodman at the end of the day. She is the future of soccer in this country, and frankly, like you just said, women's soccer is the more superior product to men's soccer in this country.
It always have been since Mia Hamm.
Yep.
You name me 10 men's soccer players, I can name you 10 women's soccer players.
Agreed.
So, and it's sort of like what we see and maybe not what we see in tennis, but the more attractive watch, for me anyway, is watching women's tennis. It's much more competitive. You have the opportunity for anywhere from 1 to 25 to win.
Yep.
In the men's field, and this isn't the same as what I was talking about previously with the dominance of the women's team versus the men's team, but in the men's field in tennis, there are 2 people who are going to win.
Yeah,
and it's been like that for a while. Before it was 3 and a half.
And they're not American.
They're not. What's that?
I said, and they're not American.
None of them are American, and haven't been for a long time.
Yep. So and again, this is also a sport where they have severely fallen behind Europeans and other places in terms of development in this country. Not because of resources. Resources have been plenty. It's frankly the method by which we do training in this country, because I know it firsthand for tennis, it's weaker than what the Europeans do. The Europeans start competitive play at age 5. We don't do it at age 10. They're on traveling clubs in Europe, just like soccer. Very similar soccer development in Europe too. They travel intercollectively. So like if you live in Berlin and you play at a club, you'll travel to Switzerland for the weekend and compete as a 5 or 6 year old with a bunch of other kids that are that age. So you develop yourself by sharpening iron. Iron sharpens iron, right? And that's how they get good. Here, we don't do that till age 10 because we coddle kids until age 10 by just tossing a ball. We don't make them play matches or anything like that. We toss them a ball now according to USTA standards. And I have a big beef with this. Believe me.
Well, you know what's funny? I had my son do a summer tennis camp thing over at McFetteridge down here. And this is a funny story, a little off track here, but I took him there, and you know, we used to play tennis. We go out to the park and play. I used to play tennis as a young guy. He thought he was just going to go in and just play tennis.
Yeah.
The first thing they made him do was run. He got mad. He's like, well, I don't like it because I have to run. I thought I was going to play tennis. Well, you have to have the stamina to play tennis, son. You know, that's the whole point of the running part. But it's just funny. I do think that we need to have better, I don't know, development and structure and stuff like that. One thing I did want to say is we sort of had that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what's changed, but think about it. In in tennis, we had American women who were dominant throughout up until about 10, 20 years ago, right?
Well, and again, but look at that development stage. So if you do
that, you have Serena and Venus.
Well, take Venus and Serena, but then take their next closest Americans to that.
I don't even know.
But that's the point. It's not even a matter who you know. The reason Venus and Serena were different than everybody else because they didn't subscribe to the USTA program.
That's right. It was Richard. Richard, give you all the credit.
The system.
Yeah.
Same thing with Tiger Woods and that. He bucked the system.
Yep. True.
System failed is what I'm getting at. In every in that sport world, you know, for at least for tennis and soccer, tennis and golf, the system did not produce enough competitive edge. That's where you would have seen like the Hennons and everybody else that competed against Serena. They would have still been on top. But it's because Venus and Serena trained differently and thought differently.
Right.
That put them above everyone else for decades, you know.
Well, then Nick Bollettieri and all of these other people need to rethink what they're doing, or somebody needs to challenge the system.
After Agassi, Capriati, Todd Martin, all that crew, that system started failing immediately because everybody else started replicating and doing it better in Europe because they saw it. The Newcomb claim. I could go, like I said, I can go on a whole tangent on tennis, but yeah, the development pattern has just completely been depleted in the country. And the same thing with soccer. I do it firsthand now. They start soccer and they give you a prescription program if you're, signing up to be a coach. And I'm just like, this isn't good enough. I expect more because I did more when I was a kid at their age,
But it's different. It's different. We have a different. First, we have to ask the kids. I didn't get asked. I was just in a baseball league, I'm gonna go do this, kid. Now it's like, hey Johnny, would you like to play some soccer?
Yep. Yeah. Kid, you see that tree down a mile down the road? Go run to it, run back.
No.
Do you want to? Is that gonna hurt your feelings? No, I don't care about your feelings. Go run.
So that's the fine line that I think we talked about multiple times of where kids are now and building that backbone.
Yep.
But again, not overdoing it like some of the things we were subjected to as kids.
No.
Here's something I just have to talk about before we close this out. Snoop Dogg.
Awesome. Icon.
I love it. Talk about a global icon. He is the honorary U.S. coach.
Yep.
They've never had that before.
Yeah.
And it's because of his popularity, and his popularity is based on one thing. Remember, Snoop Dogg was a thug gangbanger from Long Beach. When
murder was the case that they gave him. I said murder was the case that they gave him.
Exactly. 187 on an undercover cop. That was Snoop Dogg, 30 years ago or whatever. Yep. Here is a guy who came from that. And now he's an honorary coach on the Olympic team. He's been on the Summer and the Winter Olympics, and they're going to keep him there. And you know why? This is the reason why he's been so successful. To me, I think he's one of the coolest MNFers on the planet.
100%.
I
Yep.
mean, seriously, from the
Yep.
way he talks, from the words he says, just everything, except when you try to be Snoop Lion, you fuck that up.
Yeah.
Rastafari, you're like, wait a minute, that shit ain't real. Um, but outside of that, I mean, I would love to have Snoop Dogg come over for dinner.
Absolutely.
I
The
would.
guy fits into any room, any vibe because he just knows how to be smooth with everything.
He's smooth.
You
Smooth
can't teach it.
as butter.
Smooth,
Fresh
smooth,
as
smooth is
warm
worked in.
butter.
Yeah.
Dude is just, he just had that. He's
And
just,
the fact that you can create a combination with him and Mark Stewart, like
how about that? And they still keep going. Like they still are using that, even in some of these Olympic commercials. Go ahead, Snoop. You got an older white woman who
Yep.
was the epitome of, you know, the upper echelon at one point.
Yep.
And you were able to make that work.
Yes. Yep.
You're able to make anything work wherever you are, whoever you're talking to.
Yeah.
People gravitate towards Snoop Dogg. They are so happy to talk to him because he just comes up and shitty shabbity, ibbity bibbity, and whatever he says, it's cool as heck. And it's funny when he says it too. Like the one where he said, ooh, I thought I was to the one young black girl who's the ice skater. He said, ooh, I thought I was interviewing a girl, but I'm interviewing a grown-ass woman.
Yeah, that's right.
That's just hilarious.
The guy can improv so well and be dynamic and fluid with it that, I mean, he needs to be on everything as long as we can keep him around, you know?
Agreed. He's, you know what, when people say real,
Yeah.
he's real.
Real.
You haven't seen him. He's not changing. You all of a sudden he's not speaking proper. He's not doing any of those things. He's just him. But he's real in every environment. And I think he's just engaging in a way.
Exactly.
He has judgment. It's just the way he speaks is like he brings you into his family, even though he doesn't know you.
Exactly. No, and that is honestly what I'll remember the Olympics more for, unfortunately.
I mean, him sitting up with the Jamaican bobsled team, him sitting up with all the different American teams. I mean,
you can't make this stuff up. It just blends.
And it's just different when Snoop comes up and he's got his Olympic ring glasses on and stuff, and he just, you know, he looks like Snoop. You know, he's like, looks like he could stand behind a pole. He's so skinny, but he's just cool like that. And he comes up and he's like, yo, and he talks to them. It's not the same as if like one of the reporters that you see, hi, well, what did you think about the Olympics? How did you prepare for the Olympics? Snoop isn't talking like that.
Nope.
Snoop just comes up to him, yo, how you enjoying the Olympic Village? He has to smoke a little weed on the side. You know, that's just how he is.
Smooth. You can't teach smooth. It just comes.
You cannot. He doesn't need a placard or whatever, you know, what do you call that?
He doesn't need a face prompter,
Yeah, he doesn't need that. He's got his own thing. He can improv and be better than anything you would write for him to ask or say.
Yep, 100% agree.
Gotta love you, Snoop. My hat's off to you.
Exactly. No, like I said, I look forward to seeing him during the closing ceremony. I look forward to him seeing on the bobsled on the mound when these guys go on the next couple of days. I think
so here's the question, and maybe they have this already in Vegas as a bet.
Yep.
If the Jamaican bobsledder team medals, does Snoop walk over there with some big ass joint and says, yo, baby, let's do this?
Is it legal in Italy?
That's actually, so you know what's funny? We think of weed being legal. It's actually not legal in probably more countries overseas than we think.
That's the reason I say it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I was in Austria, and you know, I just wanted to check it out, right? So my wife says we're down in Vienna and downtown, and they have the casino on the right, and they have this dispensary on the left. And literally, I'm with my wife and kids, and we're like, oh, which one you want to go to? I was like, you know, because they were expecting me to go to the casino, you know. And I said, you know, no, I want to go over here and check this out. So I walk in, and they have all of this stuff on the walls, jars of stuff and everything. And I was like, okay, cool. What I didn't realize is that marijuana is illegal in Austria. So all of the stuff they had on the walls wasn't like THC driven stuff. It was like CBD driven stuff. It was more medicinal, not that had any bit of trying to get you high.
Gotcha.
So I was surprised by that because the guys were in there buying. He bought like $50 worth, and another guy bought $100 worth. I didn't buy anything, obviously. And I was like, wow, that's weird that they were in here spending big money on stuff that's basically just medicine.
pain management, I guess, and that or therapeutic, if you will. But yeah, it is what it is. But no, I get it. But no, like, it would be funny. Like I said, there'll be a way that he will figure out how to celebrate on the mound, one way or the other.
One way or another. He said, here's a gummy, whatever it is.
Exactly.
Snoop, again, I give you all the credit. You went from thug to hug so fast. And you talk about like Muhammad Ali being a global icon and what he did in his sport. Snoop Dogg.
Seems on par.
I would have to say so. He's Michael Jordan and Muhammad Ali. Everybody everywhere knows who he is.
Yep, exactly. Nope.
There's a little kid in Russia, in Siberia somewhere, freezing his butt off going. But I love Snoop. What did Will Ferrell? Snoop-a-loop. That's what they should do. If that's what they should do at the end. They should have Will Ferrell come up. Snoop-a-loop. We're going streaking.
That would be ultimate. That'd be the greatest way to close out the ceremonies, maybe in LA in 28. How about that?
Eventually.
On that note, I would say enjoy the Olympics for the next couple of days. Definitely, like I said, we'll be tuning in for the Bob. So we'll be tuned in for hockey, obviously. Hockey's going to be great, I think, to finish it out. So I think it'll be pretty cool. Good luck to the United States in finishing the event in the events that they can. But I think this is a Norwegian Olympics at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think they held the medal count lead.
The medal count and the gold.
Yeah, and the gold.
Yep.
And who was second?
I think Italy and US are kind of vying it out from what I could tell.
I didn't think we were that close.
Yep.
Okay, so we are. It's 34 for Norway, 16 golds, almost double any other country.
Yeah.
Italy second with 26, America third with 24.
Yep.
But if you think about it, we probably have a lot more athletes than any other country.
We do. It's like 200 and some odd versus a very smaller denomination compared to most. Yeah. So
give those guys credit. France is right there in fourth with 19. So I don't anticipate us moving up much. I mean, we might be able to get the hockey medals. We'll get medals in hockey, but whether or not that's gold, I don't know.
Yep.
But my hat's off to the host country. Yep. I think it's been a really good Olympics. I think that I wish that I was there doing the Stanley Tucci because
that'd be cool.
I've seen him eating and where he is. I was like, oh man, maybe I'll go to Italy just so I could eat my way through Italy.
Absolutely.
So
on that note, enjoy the Olympics. Like I said, we'll try to pick it up a little more. Maybe college basketball next week. I think it'll be kind of getting into that grind from March Madness here soon enough. Good set of team, good set of players to keep an eye on, and it'll be interesting to see how the brackets shake out and all that. But like I said, until then, enjoy the Olympics and enjoy some national fanfare while we can.
That's right. Another thing that brings us all together because we are all Americans.
That's right.
Not some of those who say American.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
we're all American.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Let's use the moment to bring a little love and togetherness to our nation.
Absolutely. On that note, we will see you guys next week. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the medals.
Right. And go ahead, Snoop.
Yes, you go with it, Snoop.
Oh, boy.